In the modern world, knowledge is power. So, my next guest on the red sofa would be a rather valuable friend to have. Please welcome Mr. Nick Richardson, founder and CEO of the Insights family. Hi there, Nick.
Hi, Rob. How are you?
Not too bad at all. Thank you very much. It's making me very homesick to talk to another Englishman.
Indeed.
Still cold and wet and horrible over there, yeah?
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
Not letting up in the slightest.
I wouldn't expect anything less. So the Insights family, some of our viewers may not be aware of what you do over there. So give us a bit of a lowdown.
Sure. We started in 2017, and I suppose we made it our mission to give kids, parents, and families a voice, and with an objective of becoming a business critical partner to clients who need to understand the attitudes, behaviour and consumption of children and parents. Since 2017, we've grown into 22 markets, so we're across the G20 and also in Spain and Poland. We survey 750,000 family members every year, or one every 45 seconds. And that allows us to provide real-time data and insights in an ethical and GDPR way to clients such as Amazon, BBC, Crayola, Disney, Lego, Mattel, and Warner Brothers, around about 110 clients now. And our portal allows you to access that data in a way which is very accessible and allows clients to understand the latest trends and what it means for them to make, I suppose, their marketing more effective, to mitigate risk and create opportunity.
I mean, that's fantastic roundup of what you do, Nick. So if for 5 years you've been surveying a family every 45 seconds, you must have an incredible insight, as the name would suggest, into global trends. What have you really been seeing over those last 5 years, especially in these last quite tumultuous 2 years, in regards to family life, family structure, and especially play and toys?
I mean, I think the overarching themes are that we live in a world which is far more fragmented now. You know, gone are the days where it was just a few linear TV channels as choice. And of course, the advent of more technology ownership means that children have far greater choice in terms of the content that they consume and when they consume it. So that's obviously really changing the whole industry and means that a lot of the old formulas which the industry have applied for years when it comes to advertising or content or licensing are just maybe not quite as fit for purpose as they once were. So that's, I suppose, the backbone in terms of what we're seeing. But of course, COVID has changed things significantly. And with the data, we're just seeing this fragmentation really means that a one-size-fits-all doesn't necessarily work as well as it once did. So some of the things that we've seen include increase in sustainability being a key concern, how girls are becoming far more empowered when it comes to computing, gaming, and sports such as football. And we're also seeing the impacts of macro environment events in terms of children. So the extremely unfortunate incident which happened a couple of years ago in America with George Floyd, who was tragically killed. Within days of that, we could see how racism had jumped considerably as a concern that children had, not just in the US, but across the 22 markets that we survey. So it's just constantly evolving and changing, and the need to be on the pulse and to really define who your audience is has never been more important.
Absolutely. You mentioned briefly there that sustainability is becoming a growing concern. Obviously, with this year at Spielwarenmesse, our mega trend is toys go green. Are you seeing consumers, the parents buying for the kids, or more from the children themselves wanting to learn more about sustainability?
Very much so. Sustainability has been increasing, and of course, it's not necessarily the same rate of growth across all countries or all regions in countries, and of course, different demographics will have slightly different preferences for that. But it's absolutely a core trend that we are seeing across the data. You know, it's been driven two ways. Millennial parents, Gen Z parents, are far greater awareness. And I think children, with the access to information that they have and recognizing that really it's their generation, which is the first generation, which is really truly going to be affected by it in a far greater way, are very much becoming aware of that and are really driving that. And I think it goes beyond just sustainability. It's almost the whole ethical debate. in terms of children and parents now demanding the brands that they aspire and the brands that they purchase to be not only sustainable but to be ethical and to be almost purpose-led as well, to really ensure that their decisions are ethical.
So, to put a business brain on that, I suppose, really, aside from the ethical issues that our companies, we would hope, will be striving for, it's actually looking to be quite a profitable thing to be these days, to be looking into sustainability and other ethical practices.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what's right. Let's be honest. I think we've got to build a sustainable future, and if brands do that in the right way, then that should absolutely generate sales and revenue and ultimately profits. But I don't think anyone really minds or doesn't have an expectation that people won't make profits with things, but it's about ensuring that business operations and all part of that business operations are sustainable. And I think it's interesting. I think we're going to see a lot more brands come under the spotlight this year. And I'll give an example. I was recently traveling and I purchased a bottle of water, which wasn't made from the country where I purchased it. And on the packaging, it clearly said that this is carbon neutral. I sent an email to that well-known brand and they said, oh, it's only actually carbon neutral at source. It doesn't include when it's purchased at retail. So I think that we all have, as we start to make these claims, we all have to ensure that really what we're saying is true, because I feel that the transparency and the demands that consumers are going to become far greater, and they're far more intelligent because of their access to information that they have.
Yeah, and with that choice, as you alluded to earlier, the consumers really have the power if they're choosing to go down the ethical, sustainable route. We, as manufacturers and distributors, have to, I suppose, bend to that.
Yeah, and it's what we're going to be talking about is really the future of retail, in terms of our presentation that we're doing, in terms of what it means for the toy industry. And I think that really comes into experiences, but it also comes to sustainability. And many trends go around in full cycles. And if you go back to, we're based in Manchester, so the Industrial Revolution is very much at the heart of our city. But the days of actually looking to produce things more locally and personalisation, I can really start to see how toy retail is going to have an opportunity to build more things in a local basis.
So with your 5 years of experience behind you, and as the world hopefully starts to re-emerge from COVID now, we look to the future. Are there any potential future trends that you can highlight, or little hints that you can give our viewers as to what to expect when it comes to this new world, I suppose?
Yeah, well, I think there's many. So please tune into the presentation, and by all means visit our website to have a look at how we can help. But I think a couple of key things: that the metaverse, which is now becoming, it's almost replacing the dreaded COVID word, isn't it, as the new buzzword. But the metaverse and the digital interaction and digital footprints are going to be huge. That's very much going to drive direct to consumer. And where I see that will ultimately go is it will pave the way as 3D printing technology catches up, for the ability for consumers to not only create and personalize those elements, but almost to become joint IP owners with brands. I think the personalization piece and the children now are co-creators, they're co-consumers, co-syndicators. Ryan's Toy Review, such a hot property in terms of in the space, that I think we're really going to see some interesting business models evolve in the future. But I think direct to consumer is a big challenge for us all. I think the experience economy, having all been locked away for 2 years, we saw how you can now buy anything at a click of a button and it will be with you within hours at your home. So if you're going to go into a shop or into a retail environment, there has to be more. And I think consumers are craving that, especially because of COVID. And I think there's a huge opportunity to create those really rich, personalized retail experiences. I think we've got this whole new way in terms of the influencer economy. I think there's going to be some challenges in that space. I think it's going to be under more spotlight from an ethical perspective, and ensuring there's maybe more legislation around that, or the legislation which exists is maybe heavily policed a bit heavier. But I think there's no doubt that the whole influencer model is very much here to stay. And I think the subscription, again, changing business models. You know, it's quite crazy when we think what we buy for our children, which has quite a short lifespan. Actually looking at models which could be on a subscription basis, I think is potentially very interesting. And we see that, you know, 1 in 4 parents are buying via social media. You know, we see these new routes to market in terms of digital spaces. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be turbulent and it's going to be challenging for some, but I think there's enormous amount of opportunities. But of course, to spot those opportunities, you need to be listening.
Nick, thank you very much. Obviously, we've got only a short amount of time here on the red sofa, but in that time, you've given us plenty to think about. Where can our viewers discover more about the Insight family?
Well, our presentation is on your website, so viewers can log back into that and watch that presentation. And of course, people can visit our website, theinsightsfamily.com. We put together a complimentary report there. And there's also freemium access to our portal for people to go and have a play with.
That's fantastic. Nick, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, yes, do as Nick says there and check out their forums, portals, and on our website, their talk. And stay tuned for more from Spielwarenmesse.